Hare Krishna. Om Agyanatamarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshmanatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Sambadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapatakamalum Shri Guru Vaishnavam Chan Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakana Raghunatam Vitamtam Shri Jivam Sadvaitam Sadrutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Param Sakana Lalita Shri Vishavitam Sja He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kancha Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Namarom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadini Nivashesha Sanyavari Praskachai Tisita Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ancha Leela, chapter 14, entitled The Lord's Feelings of Separation. Please repeat. Jai Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we know he is a incarnation of Krishna. So, we know this. Lord Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago and requested that you surrender unto me. But still there was a lot of confusion. So Lord Krishna himself appeared as Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago in Bengal. And he forcibly gave out, forcibly, if you like, use that word, Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So he's also referred to as Chana, or hidden incarnation, because he did not, as Prabhupada writes, he did not assume the status and complexion of Lord Krishna. He preferred to be referred to as a devotee. So Lord Chaitanya came to experience what it's like to be his own devotee, although he's God himself. And the last 18 years of his manifested appearance, he lived in Jagannath Puri. So Jagannath Puri, of course, is the Bay of Bengal. It's in Orissa, or Now they've changed the name now to Odisha. Odisha. So how many people have been there to the Jagannath Puri? Good. So I recommend that you all go and walk on the beach and paddle in the water only up to your ankles. Don't go further because people drown, especially if they're of a certain persuasion. And there you see the fishermen, and they're fishing. And 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya would also walk on that beach. Same beach, we could say the same sand, perhaps even the same water. And daily Lord Chaitanya would take bath in the sea, and he would play in the sea, samudra. He would play in the water with his associates, because Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are Nara Leela. Now, what does Nara Leela mean? Human-like. Yeah, human-like. So Lord Chaitanya would lie down to take rest. But does God need to sleep? I don't think so. Does God get tired? I don't think so. And then he would take prasad. Does God need to eat? Does he have a digestive system? So he's acting like human being, but he's actually the supreme being. You're all persons, and you're all different. Everyone is not the same. You dress differently, and you do different things. God is also a person. The only difference is, he's the supreme person. Now, are you supreme? In your house, in Phoenix, in Clayhaven, in Grovend? Are you the supreme, sitting there on the toilet? No, you're not the supreme. You're the supreme nothing. So the Padma was, forget which scripture, Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitanam Eko Pahanam Yo Kamanam. Nitya, there's one eternal. Nityanam, there's many eternals. Chaita, one living force. Chaitanam, many living forces. But the one eternal living force maintains the numerous living forces. So we're all living forces. We are the soul within the body. But we're being maintained by the supreme living force. And that's God. Krishna, Vishnu, Ram, Nrsimhadev. He has many different aspects to his personality. So the one supports the many. So that's God. He's the supreme person. And 500 years ago he appeared, and he lived in Jagannath Puri for 18 years. And the room that he lived in is called the Gambira. The Gambira. And daily, Lord Chaitanya, he would take bath in the sea, but he would also go to the Jagannath temple. Now, how many of you have been inside the Jagannath temple? Ay, ay, ay. See, now I'm not allowed inside there because I am of the wrong persuasion. But if I pray to the Lord and chant many rounds, in my next life I will take birth in Phoenix. And I will be the right color. this is the wrong color. And I'll be able to go into the Jagannath temple. So Lord Chaitanya would visit the temple. So we're reading text number text number 18. One day, I'll skip that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, text number 22. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his custom daily duties, and at the usual time he went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. So they have many different offerings. And one of the offerings is called the Upala Bhoga offering. As Lord Chaitanya viewed Lord Jagannath from behind the Garuda column, hundreds and thousands of people in front of him were seeing the deity. So at the back of the temple, there is a stamba, and stamba means column, and on the top of that column is a Garuda. And Lord Chaitanya would stand behind that Garuda stamba, and they say that sometimes he would place his hand on the Garuda stamba, and his fingerprints are there. And then he would weep in spiritual ecstasy. So there's a verse in Sachi Sutta Ashtakam that may the son of Sachi Mata, who would stand behind his favorite place, stand behind the Garuda stamba, while looking with intense love at the deity of Lord Jagannath, and with tears flowing out of his eyes, cascading over his tall body, walk on the pathway of my eyes. In other words, when will I be able to see this? So this is called sputi, and it means the Lord or one of his associates manifests very briefly in one's consciousness. So you see quickly. It's called Jalag Darshan. Quickly you have some vision, sputi, some vision, perhaps a Vrindavan, or Lord Chaitanya, or Lord Nityananda, or Advaita, or Gadadhar, or Radharani perhaps, or Lalita, or Vishaka. And it's a momentary vision, and you become very enlivened. Obviously, if you had some real vision, not some imagination, but a real vision of the Lord, you would actually fall on the ground unconscious. So as he viewed Lord Jagannath from behind the Garuda column, hundreds and thousands of people in front of him were seeing the deity. Text number 24. Suddenly, a woman from Orissa, unable to see Lord Jagannath because of the crowd, climbed the column of Garuda, placing her foot on Lord Chaitanya's shoulder. What a thing to do, huh? Can you imagine placing your foot on the Guru's shoulder or Lord Chaitanya's shoulder? So this is what this lady did. Text number 25. When he saw this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant, Govinda, hastily got her down from her position. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, chastised him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Because Garuda is the carrier of Lord Vishnu, so Garuda is like an eagle, and he carries Lord Vishnu. He is the supreme Vaishnava. Therefore, to touch his body with one's foot or to climb the column of Garuda is certainly Vaishnava aparad, or an offense to a Vaishnava. The woman was also offensive to Krishna by putting her foot on the shoulder of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Seeing all these offenses, Govinda very hastily made her get down. So Govinda is the servant of Lord Chaitanya. He had two servants, Govinda and Kashishvara. And they were actually disciples of Madhavendra Puri. So they were Lord Chaitanya's godbrothers. So generally, you don't take service from a godbrother. But when when Madhavendra Puri was dying or leaving his body, he told Govinda and Govinda and Kashishvara, go and serve Lord Chaitanya. So they went and served. So Govinda was the personal servant, and Kashishvara, he was quite big and strong, and he had muscles. So he used to clear the way for Lord Chaitanya, because many people would try to touch his feet and so forth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Govinda, O Adivasya, which means uncivilized man, do not forbid this woman to climb the Garuda Stamba. Let her see Lord Jagannath to her satisfaction. Text 27. When the woman came to her senses, however, she quickly climbed back down to the ground, and seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, immediately begged at his lotus feet for forgiveness. Text 28. Seeing the woman's eagerness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Lord Jagannath has not bestowed so much eagerness upon me. So in other words, Lord Chaitanya was seeing that she was very eager. And in her eagerness, the word is utkanta, she didn't know what she was doing. Because obviously, if you're sober, you're not going to climb on top of a sannyasi's back. So this eagerness, utkanta, also samutkanta, or Rupa Goswami has said, utsahan nishtaya dayat. This enthusiasm for spiritual life is not only important, but it is essential. Essential. Without enthusiasm, you cannot move an inch or a millimeter. So what does Prabhupada say? Purport. The woman was so eager to see Lord Jagannath that she forgot she was offending the feet of a Vaishnava by climbing the column of Garuda. She also neglected to consider that by putting her feet on the shoulder of Lord Chaitanya, she offended the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are both grievous offenses that displeased the Supreme Lord and Vaishnavas. She was so eager to see Lord Jagannath, however, that she committed all these offenses obliviously. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised her eagerness. He regretted the Lord Jagannath had not bestowed such great eagerness upon him. Text 29, Lord Chaitanya speaking. She has fully absorbed her body, mind, and life in Lord Jagannath. Therefore, she was unaware that she was putting her feet on my shoulder. Text 30. Alas, How fortunate this woman is. I pray at the feet. I pray at her feet. Lord Chaitanya is saying, I pray at her feet that she favors me with such great eagerness to see Lord Jagannath. So you can see how important is eagerness. And Rupa Goswami has also written in the Nectar of Instruction, verse number 3, Utsanishtaya dayat tat tat kama pravartanat. Enthusiasm, confidence, and patience. So utsahan means enthusiasm. So without enthusiasm, what did I say? You cannot move an inch or millimeter. You've got to have enthusiasm. So this enthusiasm, it's translated into activities also. It starts up here, the consciousness, between the two ears. It starts up here. And then it manifests in activities. For instance, rising early in the morning. Now, who wants to rise early in the morning? You don't jump out of bed and go, hallelujah. Isn't it? It's tough. I've noticed that what I do is I roll out of bed. I roll out. And sometimes you can't even roll out of bed. You just turn your head and go back to sleep. So you've got to have some little enthusiasm. And then you take bath. And then you start chanting Krishna's holy name. Now your mind may object, and your mind will scream at you like a nagging man or woman. See, I'm cleverly using my words. Nagging person, the mind will scream at you and say, oh, come on, you've chanted too much. You've got a backache, you've got a headache, the stomach is rumbling, go to the kitchen. Or there's my cell phone. Now, what do I go for, my bead bag or my cell phone? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a cell phone by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, cell phone wins. So then you turn it on and you look at all your messages. You could do it later. It's not like you're going to save the world or anything, but the cell phone. How many people, when they get up first thing in the morning, now be honest, check the cell phone? I don't have a cell phone. I don't like them. So the mind will create. This is the nature of the mind. The mind is very expert. And it will create so many excuses why you shouldn't chant, why you shouldn't fast, why you shouldn't come on a Tuesday evening to the Namahata or a Sunday on the temple. It will create excuses. So one has to control the mind by higher intelligence. Knowing oneself to be different to the body, the mind, and the senses, one should control the lower self by the higher self, and thus by spiritual strength conquer over this insatiable enemy known as lust. Chapter 3, text 43, Bhagavad Gita. Samstavatmanam atmana. By spiritual strength, control the lower self. So the lower self is the animalistic tendencies. By the higher self. So, Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, text 43. So enthusiasm is essential. And without it, we cannot succeed in spiritual life. Even from the material point of view, you have to be enthusiastic. If you want to make money, you have to apply yourself. If you want to pass your matric, you need some enthusiasm to study. If you want to win the gold medal in the 100 meters dash, you have to train. You need some enthusiasm. Some of these people, these athletes and swimmers, they train 7 days a week for years, 2 or 3 years before the Olympics. They really train hard. So you've got to have some enthusiasm. So in spiritual life, we take that same enthusiasm, but the goal is different. We're not interested in an Olympic gold medal, or we're not interested in a lot of money in the bank account, FNB, Standard Bank. We're interested in making spiritual advancement. So enthusiasm is it's a basic principle. Now, how do you get enthusiasm? How do you become enthusiastic? You associate with those who are enthusiastic. It's contagious. And like attracts like. If you're a drug addict, you'll be drawn towards other drug addicts. That's where you'll hang out. If you're an athlete, you'll join the comrades club and train, isn't it? And then when you talk with your friends, it's always about running. If you like stamp collecting, you know, there are people that collect stamps, and they see one stamp, and their blood pressure goes up. Their heartbeat goes up. They start shaking. The hairs on their body stand on end, just looking at, you know, one little stamp, you know? And they get highly excited. There was a stamp, and there was only 2 or 3 in the entire world, and it was a magenta British Columbia stamp, and it was around about 1860s, and it sold for $5 million. Can you imagine a little piece of paper, you know, I mean, look, $5 million, British Columbia, magenta. So we should associate with those who also are enthusiastic. So one way is by reading Shastra. Now when we read this scripture, we're associating with our Guru Parampara. Number 1, Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda. This Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's based on the commentary Amrita Priyabhyas by Srila Bhaktivinoda and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's commentary Anubhasya. And then Prabhupada puts in a little bit himself. So we're associating now. Prabhupada in 1972, when he was in Vrindavan, he said, you read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, you're associating with Rupa Goswami. So this is one way of associating. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also said, you hear Hari Katha, good fortune comes. But you hear it from the lips, good fortune comes more quickly. Do you understand that? So when you hear it from the lips, the good fortune comes more quicker. So we should seek out the association of more advanced devotees and try to hear from them face to face. Then some people will argue, well, Vani, Vapu. Vani, instruction, Vapu, personal. And they may say they're the same, but they're not the same. Because if Prabhupada is downstairs on the stage and his books are up here, where will you go? Are you going to stay up here because his books are here? Or are you going to go downstairs? So you can see personal does make a difference. And if personal association didn't make a difference, why did Prabhupada come here in 1975? Why did he bother? That was apartheid time. We struggled to get him a visa. We had to put up 1,000 rand security. In those days, 1,000 rands was a lot of money. Probably like 100,000 rands. You know, in 1975, a 1 ounce gold Kruger rand was 140 rands. So we had to put up 1,000 rands with the Home Office. So Prabhupada came here. He didn't know what to expect. I've heard that Prabhupada said he was willing to even wear plain clothes. But in the end, he didn't. He wore his sannyas. And when he flew into the Durban airport, we weren't allowed to go. We just had an Indian devotee go, because it would look a little weird. These whitos, vitos, bowing down to an Indian gentleman. Didn't quite go with apartheid and all that stuff. So Prabhupada didn't really know what to expect. Of course, previously Mahatma Gandhi had come here, so it was a very prestigious place, South Africa. But he came. So if personal association is not so important, why did he come? And why did he travel all over the world and spend 1 week here and 1 week there and 3 days in Mauritius and here and there? And so personal association. Shri Shri Jagannath Subhaja Balaram Ki Jai. So personal association is important. And we can just repeat what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that if you hear Hari Katha, good fortune will come. But if you hear it from the lips of the advanced devotee, that good fortune will come sooner. So this is why Prabhupada's disciples and senior devotees are traveling and trying to help and spread Krishna consciousness. I think Giriraj Swami is in Mauritius, and Chaitanya Maharaj is always traveling here and there, everywhere. So we should try to associate. So we can associate through reading Sastra, but also personal association. And this is why we recommend you go to Vrindavan and Mayapur and do parikram. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta has said, when you go to holy place, you should hear. It's not that you go from one place to another and whip out the camera and take pictures and, and take as many pictures as you can. No, you should go, you should hear from senior Vaishnavas like Dinabandhu Prabhu and Daivi Shakti and ISKCON leaders, and then you begin to see it in perspective. Otherwise you don't see it in perspective. Like a telescope What is the purpose of a telescope? It is to bring a faraway object closer, but the telescope has to be in focus. Would you agree? Now, if the telescope is not in focus, then better you don't even have a telescope. So if the person you're hearing from, Guru, Diksha Guru, Siksha Guru, is not in disciplic succession, better you don't even bother. So Guru or Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru has to be in disciplic succession. Another example, your glasses. There's a prescription. So we have glasses for people who are short-sighted and nearsighted, and it needs to be magnified, or they can't handle the light, the UV rays or something. There's a prescription. So Guru gives prescription. So that Guru has to be in the Guru Parampara. So we're fortunate. We're in this particular following Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta or Guru Parampara. We're very fortunate. So then the telescope, it brings that object much closer. So please continue. New Year's resolution is coming up. I would assume you're meditating on your resolutions, which you should try to follow for more than 1 week. That's usually what happens to the resolutions. They last for 1 week. But it's good to renew your vows in front of Jagannath. And I think on New Year's Eve, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj will come here, as apparently he usually does, and I may also come. But you renew your dedication and service to the holy name, to Jagannath, to the process of devotional service. It needs renewing. So, Jagannath Subhadra Balaram ki, Shri Shri Nidai Gaura Hari ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Gau Premanandi. Like to ask anything or add anything? So I mentioned enthusiasm. So what was the Sanskrit? Ladies? Huh? Utsahan. Yes, enthusiasm. So when you go to Jagannath Puri next, you may want to go and take darshan and stand in that same place that Lord Chaitanya stood in. But of course, Srila Haridas Thakur, he didn't go into the Jagannath temple, and neither did Rupa Goswami, and neither did Sanatan. So why? Kya? Why?
Haridas Thakur came from a Muslim family, and Rupa and Sanatana Goswami had also been serving the Chandkasi from a Muslim perspective. Haridas Thakur, I'm sure of, but they were Darvir Khas and Salim.
Dabiakas Sakya Malak. And the one was Prime Minister, Sanatan. Very good at politics. He was very good at politics. Rupa Goswami was more personal to the King Hussein Shah. And then the younger brother, Anupam, I think he was in charge of the treasury. So now I've got a good question. Why did Rupa Goswami and Sanatana, why did they choose to serve Nawab Hussain Shah? You notice the pronunciation there? I've been practicing it. Nawab Hussain Shah. Did you get that? Throat tight. So why? You're all very smart, you're very intelligent, and you already answered one question. Ladies, speak forth, or forever hold your peace. It's a good question, isn't it? Why would Rupa Goswami and Sanatana want to serve Nawab Hussain Shah, the Muslim king, emperor? I think it was emperor. Why?
I'm just going to take a guess.
Take a wild guess.
I think because they were tyrants of the day. Those
They were?
They were tyrannical.
Tyrannical?
So they could sort of change their thinking of becoming more peaceful.
Oh, wild. All right, I'll pretend I didn't hear that. Come on. Did you hear of anything called blackmail? You're from Phoenix? Blackmail. So Nawab Hussain Shah, he threatened that he would convert many of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami's family members, but even more than that, the district in which they lived in, forcibly convert them to Muslims. So, in other words, there was some blackmail, and this forced. This is what I've understood. Otherwise, why would they? They would never have done that. In those days, because of the smarta Brahmins, sometimes the Muslims, we read stories, Mughals, killing a cow and then putting it in a well, or part of it in the well, and then they take the water and in that way be converted. Oh, and that's right, even if a Muslim put water on the head of a Hindu, he could be converted in that way. It was quite strange, some of the customs in those days. So anything else you'd like to ask? Yes?
We are led to accept that as spirit souls, we don't discriminate. So why when it comes to the Jagannath Puri temple, management ISKCON has not been able to overthrow that non-Indian, you cannot enter?
There are some very conservative temples in India, extremely conservative. And the Jagannath Puri temple is one such conservative temple. It's so conservative that it was only in 1952 they allowed electricity into the temple. And they do not offer potato, aloo, but we know it's the king of vegetables. And I really like potatoes, but can't eat. But they don't. Why no potato? Underground. Why no carrot? Underground. Why no tomato? Passionate. And I think also, I have to check this, but I think tomatoes were introduced by the British. Then, so they have this very conservative And they have this idea that only Indians can enter the Jagannath Puri temple. Even if you're a South African Indian, you're not supposed to. So how they work out whether you're from Phoenix or from India is they speak to you. Because as soon as you speak your dialect or language, it gives you away straight away. Like there's a Phoenix type language. Exam man. Yeah, I tried there to Jagannath Puri and all. They wouldn't let me in, no. I give them what for? There's a certain, then Chatsworth, it's a slightly different accent. And Belito Bay, it's slightly different again. So they tried to get you to speak. So the best thing is you don't speak, because that gives away where you're from. So very conservative. That's all I can say. And the guards, there's a few guards, they have the sticks, and then they'll tap you on your feet if you're the wrong person. And then sometimes they say, Janma, 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 take birth again, take birth again. But you can sneak in also if you want. You know, you use you just have to dress like one of them, you know, the locals, and take off all the gold or whatever. And you can sort of sneak in a little. And you can also bribe. You know, because you bribe in India and you can do anything. You can be the president of India if you bribe someone. Then there's a few other temples also. The Sakshi Gopal temple is also like that. The Gundicha temple at the bottom of the Grand Avenue, down the bottom, they also only allow the Indian. They won't allow foreigners. There was that temple in Vrindavan, a South Indian temple, massive. I think a replica of the Tirupati temple, and they used to only allow. I think they've changed now. Oh, and there was also some. You could call it a prophecy that Westerners would take over the worship of Lord Jagannath. Although it's not written anywhere, so they're also a little bit afraid of that. The whole idea that Westerners may take over the worship of Jagannath. And we, of course, have the Jagannath festival, Rath Yatra, all over the world. So the committee, the new Jagannath Puri committee, they insisted that we only have Rath Yatra on the same day they have it. So Melbourne, Los Angeles, San Francisco. And they petitioned, I think, the government. But of course, we have it on different, like we have it Easter. So they didn't, but they're very powerful, and they're able to bribe and influence government officials. So, yes.
How big are the gods in Jagannath?
How big?
How big are the gods in Jagannath?
The gardens.
Gods.
Gods. Bigger than you. Yeah? They're sort of biggish. And they have those bamboo sticks. You want to take them on? Anything else?
Srila Bhakti Saraswati is in our Guru Parampara, but Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had 10 children. Only one is in the
Had what?
Only one.
One what?
Only Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So the rest of the kids of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, do they exist? Is there a family lineage?
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur apparently had around about 13 children. Prabhupada had 5. But Harisori Prabhu said that Prabhupada said he also had some children and there was miscarriage. So it's not clear. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur 13, only 2 became strictly spiritual. The 4th son was Bhima Prasad, who became Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And I think the 7th one became Lalit Prasad. And Lalit Prasad has his own line. And it's still existing now and it's going on. And they preach. But Lalit Prasad had some argument with Bhima Prasad, who was Bhaktisiddhanta. So they weren't on. They were opposed. Of course, it's a whole other story. Maybe another time we can. But it is a line, Lalit Prasad. It goes Lalit Prasad, Bhaktivinoda, and then I forget now, but it's a different line. And it goes to, I think, I forget. Anyhow. So thank you. We'll end with a short kirtan. Please chant.